Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let There Be Talk. Today is May 18th. It is a Monday, and this is episode number 530. I hope everybody out there is safe and healthy, and thank you for tuning in again. Like you do every week, it means the world to me. We're coming off, I don't even know how to really talk about this, but over the weekend, we lost an incredible human, an artist, a just next level human, Lynn Shelton. And I'm 54 years old, and I don't really remember something like this ever happening to where you talk to somebody and then a couple weeks later, they're gone. And not only are they gone, but they're like one of my best friends' girlfriend. And it's just, I can't even imagine what is happening with my friend Mark Maron, and I still can't take in what I mean. You know, we're on this lockdown. None of us can all go over there and comfort him because we've got this. Oh man, I just wanna grab him and just fucking hug that guy, man. I just can't even believe this woman. I met her about a year ago at the Comedy Store, and I started seeing her all the time with Mark, and she directed a couple of his specials. And I remember talking to her right away about just how incredible her artistic eye was in this world of just a million specials. The eye she had and the vibe, I was like, you've got it, you know? And then, you know, her films, Sort of Trust, she directed Glow and a bunch of TV but you know, who cares about all that? She was just this amazing fit for my good friend. And I remember thinking, man, he's got it. He's got this perfect woman, and they are a great fit. And I remember thinking that a couple weeks ago during the quarantine, like, man, it's so great that he has somebody and she has somebody, and they're together during this, you know, when you just, oh man, when you were just perfect for each other. And it's just been, I just can't imagine. Anyway, I love you, Mark, and I hope that we can just sit down together for a while and just, you know, I mean, this fucking virus, man. And I want to say now, I don't know all the details, but Mark did say that it wasn't from the virus. It was an undetected blood disorder. Now, I don't know, because I'm not going to press somebody, but that's what he said. Oh, man. Anyway, it's a I don't know. Anyway, I just want to say I love you, Mark. more than anything, and I'm here for you. Anything you need, buddy. You know that. I've told him that a million times. And I don't want to be the downer episode, but I had to address it because I don't know I don't know what to do. Like I said, I just want to be over there with him. Anyway, I think about the people out there that are losing family members from anything, and then it starts to get into my head. Like I've been saying over the few years, I don't want anything. I just want to enjoy. Nobody knows. There's no guarantee, man. You don't know what you got, how much time, and oh man, it's just. Lynn, you were one of the fucking great ones, and just an incredible person, and it's not fair, man. Yeah, I gotta introduce the guest, which is it's a great guest today. I did this a couple months ago before the virus hit, and I didn't release it because the virus hit, and this man is a small business owner. I met him through Instagram, seeing photos, heard about this man. He is one of the number one car wrappers in the world. Paint protection, window tinting. This guy's a master. He's been doing it for 13 years. And he's won like 8 times. He's won awards for being one of the top rappers in the world. He's an amazing person, and he has made it through this virus, his own business. He's self-made, and he almost lost everything from being closed for 2 months. Everything. This guy has put his blood, sweat, and tears into this business and almost lost it all. So I'm really happy to be able to put it out today because he is back open. And you can go get your car wrapped. He's specializing right now in germ protection film on touch screens and all that stuff. But most of all, he is a master at paint protection, meaning he puts a complete clear bra on your whole car. And it's protected from anything: sun, bird shit, hard water, sprinkler water, ozone layer, burns, all that acid rain, everything. The guy is. It was amazing to sit down with him because I watched him do this stuff. It's completely tedious. I would never want to do it. And he loves it. And that's what I love about this episode, that he is doing what he loves to do. And I've said it over and over. Get out there and do what you love to do, man. So follow him on Instagram. Listen to the episode. Even if you're not into cars, even if you're not in, I know you love that Ed Shines one, the detailing episode. This one is right there with it. Super interesting. And it's one of the things that I love about this show the most, to be able to not just have the rock star or the movie star or the big comedian, but to be able to have these people on that every day are out there doing something cool. You know, the handmade episodes. Definitely one of my favorite things to do is interview people that do stuff like this. You build something by hand, I'm in. So let's get into it right now with my guest, Tyler O'Hara, owner of American Wrap Company in Los Angeles, California, deep out in the valley. And enjoy yourselves this week, people. And I love all you guys. All right, here we are, another episode of Let There Be Talk. This will be a handmade episode. You know, I love to interview people that have their own businesses and do stuff outside the box. And I think about 2 months ago, I had on my boy Ed Shines, and people love that. It was a full episode on detailing, and I like to talk to people about stuff that, you know, normal people are like, well, I never knew any of that about detailing. I didn't either. But while we were talking, we got into wraps and paint protections and stuff like that. And so I seeked out one of the number one people in the wrap business. Introduce yourself.
My name's Tyler O'Hara. I own American Wrap Company in Newbury Park, California.
And you've been rapping since you were like 17. And not rapping in a hip-hop way, but rapping cars. And how old are you now?
30.
30.
Yep.
So you've been doing this for a zillion years.
Pretty much my whole adult life.
Which is crazy, because how many years is that? So
13 years.
13 years. I started hearing about raps, I think it was around maybe 10 years ago. Tour buses started wrapping the tour buses with sponsors like Monster drinks and all that. That's the original way I heard about wraps. And then I started hearing about wraps, vinyl wraps where you could change the color of your car.
Yeah.
And then up to a couple years ago, I started hearing about paint protection wraps and looking all into that. I never really knew much about them, except for I loved them because a lot of them, you know, if you had a white car, say a white Porsche 911, you could turn it into Miami blue.
Absolutely.
Or olive green or whatever. And I was like, this is crazy.
Or chrome.
Which, and I started seeing that stuff too, like Justin Bieber and these guys would be coming down to the comedy clubs in these gold cars.
Yeah,
and
Tyga's got a gold one.
Yeah. But the thing about those was they never looked great to me.
Yeah, the chrome film's really hard to work with. It marks easy, and kind of you can distort the clarity of the chrome.
And it definitely has a serious orange peel look.
Yeah, traditional vinyl films like you described for buses and, you know, color transformations, because it's such a thin material, it's hard to get paint-like depth with it. So it typically has a low, you know, gloss and a low reflectivity to it. So yeah.
Well, when I was talking to Ed Shines, you know, I'm a lunatic because of I get a car or a motorcycle and I just freak out. Even if it was just not even a very cool car and it got sprayed with sprinkler water, hard water, or bird shits or anything, I go crazy.
Are the worst, man.
Oh, bird shits are just straight up
acid.
That's just poison.
I don't know what the hell.
It's paint poison. They're only eating like fucking berries
and trash.
I don't know. They're just brewing up some fucking acid bomb in their ass. But so let's get into it. You're 13 years ago. How do you get into this? You're like a young guy then.
Yeah, so it's kind of a long-winded story. I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest version. But coming out of high school, I always knew I wanted to work on cars. So the idea was to go to Wyotech or some sort of a trade school. Kind of looked into that. I come from a really poor working class family, and that was just going to be a stretch for us. So it didn't really work out. I always took every shop class, wood shop, industrial tech, anything hands-on I could in middle school and high school. And my mom at the time was working at a car dealership, and she was responsible for scheduling appointments with vendors. And one of the vendors that she worked for was a company I used to work for. So she put us in touch. It turned out I lived back down here in Thousand Oaks, and one thing led to another, and I spent a significant, period of time working for him.
And he was a rapper?
He was a rapper, yeah, but as soon as I got, good, I pretty much took over the installation side of things and kind of helped build that company up. And then it just became time for me to go out and do my own thing for various reasons. And in 2018, I pulled the trigger on American Rap Company, total startup and self-funded. I don't have any investors or, like I just said, I come from a poor family, so I don't have a rich dad that helped finance this. It was all out of my life savings account. And
I can't even believe you had savings. You had more than me. Life savings.
Hey, I like to make it, but I also like to spend it and save it. So
I hear you.
So yeah, I just came out of high school and knowing I wanted to work on cars. It's funny, my mom still has a folder of cars that I used to sit there and just sketch during class, and the teachers would confiscate them and give them to her.
Oh.
And she has all those still. So I've just always had a deep passion for cars, motorcycles, and horsepower.
What kind of, did you have a car when you were in high school or getting out of high school?
No, yeah. So I didn't get my first car. It was actually a 2004 Dodge Ram 1500 Hemi. And that thing was my baby at the time, but it got like 10 miles to the gallon. And as a poor, 19-year-old, it was so hard to do anything because that bitch just sucked fuel.
Oh my God. Were you getting into siphoning? I was doing that as a kid. You go to like a work site. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Hop a fence. It's so funny to think about how there was times too where gas was back then when I was growing up, went up to like $3 a gallon. I was like, oh my God.
When you were growing up, you weren't that old.
I'm 54.
Dude, gas was 75 cents when you were 19.
Right, but then I'm saying as I got older, it got more money, and you're like, I think it was like $1.50, but that's a lot of money when you had no money.
So just to clarify, when was the siphoning going down?
Oh my God, it's probably any time, no matter what the price was. I siphoned once,
shit.
and got a fucking throat full. And I never did it again, but my buddy was a lunatic pro at it, man.
So the only thing I used to siphon is my dad has a 33-foot toy hauler.
Yeah.
And
you just rob from your dad?
I would rob from my dad's toy hauler because it had like a mobile fuel station for the bikes and whatnot. So I'd go steal all his gas. Yeah. And then he'd pull the trailer out thinking he's got a full tank of gas in it. And he's like, where the hell did all the gas go? And I'm over there like...
Well, I remember specifically when gas went up to, I think it was probably $1.50 or whatever back when I was a kid. All of a sudden, the locking gas cap arrived. Everyone had this locking gas cap. It was crazy, man. My buddy had a good scam going back then when they had just the mechanical gas pumps.
Oh, yeah.
Ching, ching. Yep. So he worked at a gas station, so he got one of those reset keys. And so what he would do is when we'd be at a gas station, the guy would come over and he would reset it, and then he'd go off, do whatever he wanted. My bro would be pumping gas, and then he'd get up to like $20, then he'd reset it. It's basically like a kind of a hex key on the side of the pump.
Yeah.
Turn that, start back over and pump, and then when he's done, the guy would come over and go, all right, $7. Because they used to have the guy out there, you just pay him, But there'd be like 9, 10 cars going.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this guy had the key.
Oh, shit.
Allegedly, he had the key.
Classic.
But when you were young, what was your dream cars? Because we'll get into the type of cars you do here, a lot of insane ones. But were you a Ferrari guy, a Porsche guy, a Dodge Mopar guy? What were you?
Yeah, I've always been like a Cummins diesel kind of guy.
Whoa.
So I've always
just blue collar truck guy.
Yeah, if I had to say like the most consistent thing I've always loved, it'd definitely be Cummins diesel motors blowing black smoke. So.
Oh man, those things run forever.
Oh, 500,000 miles. But growing up, I went to high school in Lancaster, California, so we all thought we were super cool racing around in Honda Civics. You know, as you start to financially make more, I think that kind of changes. So,
Well, you're at that age where the Fast and Furious thing was hot, and
oh yeah, that was like when I was a young
that's some
teenager.
big shit, you know, hot hatches and
Oh, yeah.
and all those cars. I mean,
Mitsubishi Eclipse. I mean,
yeah.
Paul Walker's Skyline, like that
Yeah.
used to be every tuner's wet dream. So
the WRX,
yeah, loved
STI.
STIs at one point in time.
Yeah, they got the STI is the only car I think other than a 911 where when it's coming down the road, I know what's coming. It has a sound.
Yeah,
Just like
absolutely.
a 911, I go,
Yep.
oh, here comes that Boxster engine, that sound. It's like, whoa, it's almost like a motorcycle-y kind
like growl.
of. Yeah, it's got that growl.
Yeah, the unequal headers on those really project a distinct tone.
I'm a huge fan of the new Golf R.
Yeah, those are sick.
Oh, they are.
All-wheel
Except for
drive.
the turbo lag. I don't like turbo lag, but man, the Golf R.
Mm-hmm.
A guy in my neighborhood has the green, like this paper right here, this sticky green right here. It's
Yeah.
crazy. He said it's a $4,500 paint upgrade. I know, right?
On a Volkswagen.
On a Volkswagen Golf. I was like, $4,500, but the paint looks phenomenal.
Sounds like he needs to call us.
So, I know, right? I told him. I go, you got to get that thing wrapped. He goes,
Yeah.
oh, no, it's a paint. I go, no, I mean like a protector.
Yeah, paint protection film.
When you first start rapping with this guy, I mean, it had to kind of drive you crazy. It's super tedious. I watched you do this, and it is brutal. How do you not go crazy? And when you're first starting, how do you learn this? Is he just showing you? Are there instructional videos?
No, I mean, it's kind of, again, this will be a short version, but there are manufacturer's trainings, and it's basically just 2 to 5 days, and the certification really doesn't mean anything because what can you really learn in 2 to 5 days for something that I've spent 13 years working at? But when I was trained, basically my previous boss, taught me everything he knew. And then through traveling and meeting installers coast to coast, I've met guys from, Alaska all the way to Hong Kong and, Japan. So it's like I've met installers from around the world. And when we go to our trade shows and conventions, we all pick each other's brains and we kind of make friends and help each other out. So over the years, I've just kind of collectively grown as an installer to get to where I'm at now, and I can share my knowledge with my future employees. But yeah, teaching a new guy is very hard. And there were times I was like, God, am I ever going to learn how to do this? Like, and it's so tedious and so hard. And with paint protection film especially, there's no like green light, red light process. Like sometimes you have to deviate from, situational type deals where you may do it like this way, but then you may not do it like that somewhere else. So there's a lot of feeling to it. And like I call it film intuition. You kind of have to read what the film is telling you and, kind of improvise and make it work. So when I'm training new guys now, I can see that light bulb starting to flicker and go off, and they'll start to kind of get that intuition with the film and, know how to work stuff down without marring up the adhesive or, ripping the top coat or whatever it may be. But the learning curve can be excruciating, and a lot of people can't do it or, try and fail. And so, yeah, it's really hard. Very, very hard.
Now, when you started now, what you have now is these patterns that these companies have that go into a computer, and you say, let's say you pull in, you just pulled out a LaFerrari.
Yep.
And you pull that in, you punch it into the computer, it comes up LaFerrari, and then you just press a button and it cuts the patterns for you. But when you started 13 years ago, were you just hand cutting all this film?
No, we still had patterns back then. They were really, really piss poor compared to what we have now. Here at American Rap Company, we exclusively use XPEL, and XPEL is pretty much known in the industry as the best patterns money can buy. They have teams all over the world that, if one team gets a car, they'll digitize the pattern, test fit it, make sure it's good to go. But yeah, to answer the question directly, we did have patterns back then. They just fit like shit, and, you really had to work for it. And it's funny, tying into working with new guys, I tell my guys still to this day, I'm like, I wish you guys would have learned on the patterns I had and I learned on, because they fit so bad. I had to learn how to manipulate the film. now we're spoiled. I mean, XPEL has these things designed so perfect that, like you said, you can almost just hit cut and it covers beautifully.
How do they do that? A car comes in and do they have a digital scanner? Do they run something over the car? How do they get these patterns?
I'm not totally sure how
it's
XPEL
crazy,
does it.
right?
Yeah, it's kind of a big secret because that's, like I said, that's what XPEL is mostly known for. And that's kind of where they got their start. But from my knowledge and what I know, they basically hand make a template with film to start, pull it back off the car, scan that in 2-dimensionally, add the nodes and vectorize that, reprint it out, test fit that, and they kind of go a back and forth process like that.
So they hand cut this,
to my knowledge.
Right, a whole pattern. So a car comes in. God, that's brutal because you have so many cars.
Oh.
Like a friend of mine just called you and you had that car.
Yep.
And just imagine if...
I mean, it'd be really hard, though. The cars that it just blows my mind on is like the Lambo SVJ, for instance. Like that front and rear bumper has probably about 100 pieces just to the front and rear bumper. I mean, it's insane. So for somebody to sit there and hand make that and then scan it in, but... hats off to XPEL because they absolutely freaking crush it. I mean, everything seams up really bitchin'. They get good coverage really deep into areas. Even on the LaFerrari that we just pulled out, kind of behind the doors, there's a real deep air inlet, and I had a piece that laid all the way up in there. And literally, I mean, I'm 6'4". My whole arm was up in the car, and it was covered with film all the way up in there. I mean...
Wow.
How the hell they do it, I don't know. But
and how do they get their hand on every car? Like a LaFerrari, there's only how many?
499.
Yeah, so somebody had to have brought one by the company at one time, and that's wild. Like you're waiting for a guy to come up. Okay, now we've got this pattern, and that car is not even made anymore.
No,
so they got
2-year run.
Oh God,
that's the cool thing though about XPEL being worldwide is, like I said, they'll have teams kind of all over the place. And if, someone in SoCal gets the car, the SoCal team will digitize the pattern and make it happen. So, I mean, nowadays it's rare that I don't have a pattern. I mean, I have patterns even for, Porsches back in the 70s. So they've done a really, really good job at giving us what we need.
Now, that's a good point that you brought that up. It is not recommended, I heard, to do a wrap or a paint protection on a stage 1 paint, a vintage car. Is that right?
Yeah, it on repaints or thinner paint cars like single stage paint, it's it can be problematic if you ever have to remove the paint protection film. But to a kook like me, where I don't want to see rock chips, I don't want to see scratches.
Yeah.
If I owned it, I would just roll the dice and I'd probably still end up wrapping it. I've owned repainted cars in the past, and just because I don't want to see that peppering across the front of the car, I still wrap them. But whenever I do have situations like that, I always disclose it to the customer that, hey, this is what can happen, blah, blah, blah. Make sure they're fully aware, and then it's, it's their decision to go forward with it or not. Yeah,
you got an M2, and it's fully wrapped.
Yep.
And you said something amazing. You're like, once you get a paint protected car, you'll never not own a car without it.
Yep.
And it's so true. If you're a freak like us, and you've got something that you love, it's tough to just let it out there in the element. I mean, the world is just gnarly. Rocks, sand. A couple days ago, I was driving a guy. His tire blew off.
Yeah.
Just flew over, just hitting cars on the freeway. There's all kinds of junk out there. Bird shit, like we said, hard water.
Yeah, sprinklers, God.
Sprinklers are a devil. And
my car actually, it spent its first night outside probably in its almost in its whole life, because I know the previous 2 owners were freaks like me as well.
Yeah.
So it spent the night at my girlfriend's house, and it's got a few water spots on it this morning from her sprinklers, but I licked my shirt and just swiped one just to see, and it came right off the film. So I'm like, cool. But as soon as we wrap up, she's getting detailed.
Wow.
Can't handle it.
Yeah. We're nuts.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into a little bit about the difference between a clear paint wrap and a vinyl. A guy comes in, he wants to get his car a different color. That would be a vinyl, and the clear ones are exactly what color your paint is,
Correct.
except for it's got this clear on it. Or with the clear, you can change it to a matte, right? Like on
Correct.
the Teslas and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, you were telling me the vinyl, the ones that change the color of cars, still isn't that good. Is that right?
Yeah. So vinyl traditionally doesn't carry any kind of warranty either. So there's no guarantee if a bird poops on it that, the film won't etch, and the manufacturer's not going to be responsible for it whatsoever.
That's crazy, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, I sell against vinyl wraps all the time. I think it's really cool for like stripes, accents, chrome deletes. You want to do your roof black,
course.
stuff like that, little stuff. But for the most part, to charge the amount of money you have to do a clean vinyl wrap and successfully transform the color of the car to install a film that's not going to last, it just morally doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, it's just basically like in a year it'll look like shit.
Yeah.
Because Ed Shines was on and he said, well, when it comes to rap, you got to like wax that
clean
thing every couple days.
Yep.
And I had never heard that.
Yeah.
But not the case with a clear paint protection, right?
Correct. Yeah. So paint protection film, in 2008, it really took a turn for the better. And that's when our industry really took off. And what happened is XPEL actually came out with it first, and they introduced self-healing. So the self-healing property is the film. To give you a quick breakdown on the film, it's an acrylic-based adhesive, a polyurethane substrate, and then they spray or over-laminate with a self-healing top coat. And the self-healing top coat revolutionized our industry because it gave the film a lot longer lifespan. So that's where we got 10-year warranties. We got the wire brush demo where you can swirl the film with a wire brush, hit it with some hot water, and they just go away.
Wow.
Chemical resistance, so bird poops and stuff like that won't etch the film now, which is also covered under warranty. If it does etch, XPEL will pay labor. They'll pay, material. We can remove and replace the piece of film free of charge to the customer. So, yeah, paint protection film, 10-year manufacturer's warranty for the most part, especially from XPEL. And, it really lasts. It works. Both my cars are wrapped in
UV
it.
protection too, right?
Yeah, UV. That's a great point as well. UV protection. Never have to wax the car. So super, super low maintenance.
Yeah. Hold on, Tyler. I got to do a quick read. Hey, guys, this episode of Let There Be Talk is brought to you by Manscaped. Who is the best in men's below-the-belt grooming? Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. That's right. You heard me right here. Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created and just released the new improved Lawnmower 3.0. That's right. Don't be all sloppy down there, even during the lockup. You got to keep that package nice. Their third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to prevent manscaping accidents. Millions of balls are about to be nick-free thanks to Manscaped Advanced Skin-Safe technology. You guys know what I'm talking about. Remember that? You get the nicks. You get nicks all down there. It's just like, oh, God. And then you got like the spots in your underwear, the old red spots. Anyway, no more of that. No more manscaping accidents. When I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. You know how Del Rey loves the super built stuff. Battery lasts 90 minutes. So you could just be chilling, doing a long ball trim. One of the coolest features is the LED light, which illuminates grooming areas for a closer, more precise trimming. When you're down there working in a coal mine, Dun, 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 dun. This engine on this thing is 7,000 RPMs. That is quiet stroke technology. Just trimming with the high RPMs. Come on, man. I got this terrible nose hair trimmer. The thing won't cut nothing. And let's not forget about the charging stand. Show your mower off loud and proud. Let people know you got the nice groom sack. Manscaped. You want 20% off? You're going to get it right now. Listen, Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DELRAY at manscaped.com. That's DELRAY. Get 20% off. Do not sleep on this deal. I got one, man, and I've been using it like crazy. I got to have my package trimmed, man. I can't be having a sloppy one. You know what I'm saying? Okay, get 20% off and free shipping with the code DELRAY at Manscaped, MANSCAPED, manscaped.com. 20% off, free shipping, and code is DELRAY. Anyway, so yeah, what do you think, Tyler? Now, let's go through this process, because I watched you and I sat out here for a couple hours watching you, and I kind of went crazy, like, oh my God, I don't even know how they do. A guy let's say he pulls in a brand new, Jaguar.
Mm-hmm.
The immediate first thing you do is you detail all the wax and everything off the paint, right?
Yeah, so we always start with a really thorough wash. And when me and the guys wash the cars, we very excessively blast out all the nooks and crannies, because paint protection film's installed wet, similar to window tint. So we want to make sure that as we're soaking the car and soaking the film, that the water doesn't wick any, contamination out of cracks and crevices that can then go under our film and distort the install. So the first thing we do is thorough wash, rinse, soap it. Depending on the color of the car, and if it has iron fallout, we'll use an iron removing spray to break those particles out of the pores of the paint.
What's iron fallout?
Iron fallout's like industrial fallout. So basically, rail dust and just...
Like soot and everything sitting on the paint.
Yeah, all that stuff that kind of sits on the paint. Like if you're ever walking around, check out some various white cars, and if you see little orange specks in the white paint, that's like iron fallout. Brake dust can cause it, so you'll see it kind of on a white car, around the wheels, on the paint.
That's just shit we're breathing every day.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too is, like, if you wash your car and you run your hand across and it doesn't feel slick, that can be fallout or particles that have kind of bonded to the surface. So
that's when a lot of guys start clay waxing, clay bar and stuff, because you can feel the paint.
Yep.
You're like, especially if you live somewhere like Hermosa Beach or something where there's salt air and sea air.
Absolutely.
It just sits on your paint and just completely dulls it and makes it feel rough, which is pretty wild.
Exactly.
So it comes in and you do a full detail. One thing I'm super, super particular about is wheels, because wheels are always the most disgusting thing on a car. If our film touches the wheel, it can ruin that piece of film. So thorough exterior wash, rinse, clay, decon, and then we also hit the wheels, wheel wells, make sure no crud is up in there and could potentially run out on the film. Iron remover on the wheels so that we can pull all the brake dust off, clean the tires really well with a tire specific cleaner, all-purpose cleaner on the fender liners, and basically make sure the exterior of the car is just spick and span. Then we pull it inside, blast out every nook and cranny again with air. That's kind of like our last ditch effort to make sure any particles come out. Blast off the wheels and dry with specific drying towels and just make sure it is squeaky clean. And then immediately before install, we use a paint prep, panel prep spray. It's the same thing you'd use before applying a ceramic coating. Wipe down the car with that. That's just going to remove any leftover oils, fingerprints, and just really make sure we are. That'd be a nightmare, right? A fingerprint underneath it. Like you've got this clear wrap and you're
especially if it's like a greasy fingerprint, and then that grease sticks to the adhesive of the PPF, and it's just like, God, it's a nightmare.
Yeah. So when you start to apply this, you cut out the patterns and everything. Is it like a sticker? How does this stuff stick on so good and look like paint? It's insane.
Well, a lot of that comes down to the installer's skill, because like on that LaFerrari, the film that I pulled off it looked like garbage,
Oh, he had it coated before.
Yeah, it had film on the full front end before. And
this is a $3 million car, people. So it had film only on the front end?
Only on the front end. And I went and did a consultation with him in the car, looked at it, and I was, I advised that we remove it and whatnot. I didn't really realize, I saw how bad it was at his shop, but once it got to our shop under my lights and whatnot, I was like, holy shit, this looks like crap on a $3 million car. So to go back to your question of, how do you make it look so good and whatnot, A lot of it is the prep, and then a lot of it is, the clarity of the film. XPEL has 0 VLT, so it, restricts 0 light, so it's totally transparent. And then skill, you really have to know what you're doing when you're putting this stuff on to not distort the adhesive and all that.
Is it a sticker though?
It is a sticker,
a water, like, those old those water stickers?
Mm-hmm. So as soon as you pull it off the backing paper, you can immediately feel the adhesive's tacky.
Oh, I got you.
And that's then why we install it wet, so that when you're doing it wet, you can slide it around the car, stretch it into place, and get a clean, distortion-free install. If you were to just stick it on dry, since the adhesive has no...
It wouldn't move.
It wouldn't move, and you'd end up with 50 million bubbles, and it'd be hazy, and it just looked like dog shit. So
I wonder who the first was to do this, invent it.
the military.
The military?
Military.
No shit?
Yeah. So the military, I don't know exactly which war it was. I think it was in
Desert Storm or something.
Probably Desert Storm.
Yeah, because of the sand.
Because the sand, exactly. So what they were doing is they were taking a real thick version of essentially paint protection film, a polyurethane material with an adhesive, and they were sticking it on the leading edges of helicopter blades so that when they'd land, they'd get more lifespan out of the chopper blades and not have to replace them as frequently. It was cheaper to just replace this film than it was a blade. God only knows what the blades cost. So, and then over the years, just assuming it was refined, someone probably said, "Hey, let's try sticking this on a car." And as far as I know, I think PPF really got into the automotive market in the early 90s. So, that's pushing 30 years now of refinement and just making it better and better.
Now, once somebody has this on, do they, like, say, somebody like me, I just sell shit every couple of years. Like, this is cooler here. But it does add value to a ride, which is great. But
absolutely. And I have a really cool thing to talk about, not to cut you off.
Oh, no, go ahead.
XPEL is actually integrating with Carfax. So
great.
In 2020, this year, we're going to be registering everybody's warranties online. And then that will integrate straight to the VIN code of the car. And then when you Carfax the car, you trade it in, it will actually be listed, so that the next owner or the dealer can see, oh man, this car's been taken care of. It has XPEL on it. It's,
that's
I
really
absolutely
cool.
agree and think that it's going to help, preserve the resale value of cars.
Oh, I believe
especially like Ferraris.
Yeah, right. A guy's like, oh, well, this thing's already protected.
Flawless. Exactly.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So if you have your car longer than 10 years, say you got a collector's car, like a Beamer M2, and you never get rid of it.
Yeah.
Do you come and change it after 10 years?
I usually just tell people to keep an eye on the film. If the film starts showing any kind of haze or it starts looking weird, or if you're approaching 10 years and you want to have a checkup with us, come on by. We'll take a look at it, see if maybe there's some pieces that need to be warranted. But really the biggest thing is UV. UV is, the biggest killer of freaking everything. So the more sunlight something sees,
especially with the burn up ozone.
Yeah. Especially with our ozone dwindling.
Yeah. It's just fucking scorching, I see paint jobs that are like 5 years old because also all the emissions and all these rules and everything, there's been so much change in paint.
Yeah.
And also to save money. There was a time I remember my buddy had a Chevy S10.
Yeah.
This is 25 years ago. And that particular year, they tried some new paint, and every one of the trucks, the paint just fell off after like a year. And he went back. They repainted it. Then he went back. The metal was poisoned. The whole thing was ruined, because of this experimental paint they tried. And it's wild to see how fast paint will just disintegrate.
Totally. Yeah, and that's all thanks to UV.
That's all UV, man. UV combination with fog, like wet, damp fog, then UV hitting that later in the mornings, the sun magnifying through that fog dew and just melting your paint.
Acid rain.
Rain, full on, man. Seriously. Yeah, it's wild how it's such a weird thing where people buy, say, $100,000 car. I see them in my neighborhood, and they're just parked outside every night.
Oh, I know. I'd be shitting.
I'm like, Just buy a Ford Fusion for 25 grand.
Honda Civic.
I don't give a fuck car.
Yeah.
You know, because, oh my God, I can't imagine. There's a guy, he's got a 6 Series Beamer in my neighborhood.
Oh my
It's
God.
beautiful. And it's just outside.
Well, the thing is, too, though, you got to bear in mind, a lot of manufacturers are leases. So, it's,
Oh, yeah.
you know, BMW has like a 70% lease rate or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's
and
right.
Audi lease is really high. So that's
I
kind of
heard-
something I combat as well in PPF is anytime I get a call, I always ask, do you buy or lease the car? Because, you know, if they bought the car, obviously do as much protection as you can. If you leased it, you know, hey, you're just going to get rid of it. So what do you really care anyways?
Yeah. Well, I just heard this one, and I don't know if this is true. A guy was telling me that if you're leasing a car over 100 grand, they say mandatory paint protection now. It was an Audi.
Nice.
So I don't know if it was the dealer he went to or if it's a new thing they're integrating into Audi
Yeah.
or high-end cars of like, well, you got to do paint protection because it's going to come back in 3 years and we don't want it
Totally.
trash. We're going to resell it.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting, right? If that's a new thing that the lease companies are doing.
Could be, you know, and the only thing I'm aware of in that case is with all the new Ford GTs, Ford was sending out to the chosen owners an email saying, we highly recommend you do paint protection film on your car, yada, yada, yada. So a lot of dealers, though, they are pushy. So it could have just been a dealer thing, but I was pretty mind blown when I actually had a customer show me that email from Ford. I was like, wow.
Wow.
You know, they are catching on. They're taking notice. So I just hope they keep their little greedy dealership meat hooks out of my industry.
Oh,
because-
yeah. If they just start coming,
Exactly.
paint film.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty blown away that after they paint the car at the place, why it's just the raw metal, that they just don't throw on these perfect paint protections on them.
They do. A lot of trucks come with little pieces here and there.
I've seen that, but I'm saying just a full
on,
fucking,
I know.
Oh yeah, here it comes. It comes down.
Yep.
It gets painted. You've seen it. It's just the skeleton shell.
Yeah.
And then in the next room after it dries, a
Yep.
fucking condom right on the car.
Well, one of the things, though, that you do have to wait for is anytime you paint a car, you have to let it gas out. So you want that paint to cure for 2 weeks to a month at minimum to kind of cure and set up and make sure all the gases have escaped the clear.
Oh shit.
So there kind of is that
they,
too.
They can't do that thing because
Yeah.
it would be the backup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But-
Now, you were telling me this, and I hadn't heard of this, but you see brand new cars in here with just paint flaws all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like high-end cars.
Yeah. I mean, even that LaFerrari had a couple.
Really?
Uh-huh. Yep. I mean,
like what kind of paint flaws?
there was specifically kind of like, it looked like a blend, but it wasn't repainted. It just kind of had a slight distortion line through this one little area. There was a fisheye. On American cars, I'd say Ford, Chevy, Dodge are bar none the worst.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, horrible paint. Super thin, super soft. It is 2-stage because I've seen clear coat drips. So,
Yeah.
so you got clear on there.
That's crazy, right?
In my opinion, Porsche has the most flawless everything. Flawless paint, fit and finish of the car is bar none the best.
There's nothing better. We were here, and that guy had that GT3 Touring,
Oh, sexy.
and we got in that car, and it was just fucking perfect,
Oh, yeah.
man.
Just everything. I mean, when you disassemble a Porsche, you can tell the engineers are just genius, and like stuff is easy to take apart. It's not, overly laid out or ridiculous. And yeah, they're just, I love Porsche.
Whoa, there goes the killer.
Yeah.
Your baby killer.
The fuzzy security guard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, there's somebody out there. There's somebody, next door.
Yeah, they're going next door.
Oh, I got you. Now, let's tell people what's going on. When you bring your ride in, you actually take a lot of the car apart. So it's not just laid on there. You get it under the door handles,
Yep.
behind the brake lights, the tail
Yep.
lights.
Trim pieces.
Trim pieces, and logos.
Yep.
All that shit comes off. Now, how did you learn how to do that? Door panels and all that shit without freaking out. I mean, some of these cars are $1 million cars, $3 million cars, and I don't want people to think that it's only high end coming in here. There's all types of cars
Yeah,
coming in
everything.
here. People love their cars. It doesn't matter what it is, a Jeep.
Last week we did a 2006 Mitsubishi.
There you go. But my point is, did you learn this from YouTube going on, like how to take a door panel off a 2006 Mitsubishi, you know, all that shit? Because you take the whole thing apart.
Yeah. So honestly, where it all started would definitely be like high school. Like I said, like shop class. I mean, I took 4 years of auto shop. And then aside from that,
So did I, dude. I don't know that
love it.
shit.
I don't know. Well, I actually cared about it, Dean.
Oh no, I did, but I was real wise right away. I was
shit.
like, I'm going to be the driver.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there you go.
I'll be the like if it was racing, I'd be the driver, and you're the mechanic. You
Yeah.
know, I always say I strip bolts, you know,
Yeah.
just by looking at them. But yeah, I
So
mean,
another huge part was my dad.
Yeah.
My dad was a general contractor for a long time, and my dad's the type of guy where he refuses to pay anybody to work on anything that he owns.
I
So
can do it.
He can do it.
Everybody has that dad, you know, a
He
friend.
automatic. Well, he has a 2003 Volkswagen Jetta sport wagon. It's a total pile of shit.
Yeah.
But he keeps this thing running, and it's just like little TDI diesel. The automatic transmission took a shit, so he's all, fuck it, I'm gonna manual swap it. So he manual swapped it in his driveway.
Wow.
Mind you, he's like 56 years old, getting her done. But yeah,
He's my age.
Yeah, you could be my daddy. But
Hey, what did he do? Did he buy a transmission at the junkyard and put it in there?
you know, I think he got it from Overnight Parts from Germany.
Wow.
No, I'm
really?
just kidding.
Oh, I was like, what?
But I'm not sure. I'm not sure where he got it.
But he put a manual in it.
He put a manual in it. So a lot of my, you know, I kind of have that real strong drive to just figure it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll Google. I pay for a monthly service that I can punch in year, make, model of a car, pull it up. It'll show me, you know, wiring diagrams and breakdowns and where are clips, where are plugs. So that's super helpful. So me and the guys utilize that. But, you know, it's just kind of, you know, as a man, you're either mechanically inclined or you're not. You know, I mean, and I'm definitely mechanically inclined, and 3 of my other employees are very mechanically inclined. So just kind of figuring it out and just being careful and going slow. And, you know, when you're taking apart a car for the first time, you just kind of got to bear in mind that if you have to pull or pry too hard, you're probably doing something wrong. Like,
Right.
They didn't design it to go together like that. It's usually you're missing a step or a hidden part. And that's where that website comes in handy. And then, you know, there are cars though where we draw the line, like that LaFerrari. I didn't take a single thing off of it. It's easy enough, or supposedly easy enough, to lift the rear engine hatch, but I opted to not even do that because, you know, $3 million car, like,
Yeah, dude.
I don't even want to drop a bolt. Like,
We were just looking at that
I mean,
car, and
crazy.
it's all carbon fiber,
Everything.
and I can't even imagine doing film on that thing because
Mm-hmm.
it was just this sexy curves all over,
Curvy.
and tunnels and
Yep.
ports and
All the
flares. It was just wild. It looked like if someone had a car and it was made of sand and they blew it a little bit and it just kind of, that's the body on that thing was unbelievable.
yeah, totally. So, you know, we'll draw the line on certain things. I'm just like, no, I'm not even pulling a badge off that.
Now, how long does it take to do a typical car? 2-3 days?
It really just depends. You know, easier.
Let's say a Beamer 7 Series. You come in.
7 Series Beamer, if we're doing a full car wrap and paint protection film, I usually book the car for a week.
A week?
Yeah, the first day is going to be, you know, prep, decon, wash, rinse, clay, cut the film, kind of get everything laid out, ready. And then second, third, fourth day, install. And depending on how many installers we have on the project, you know, kind of can make it go quicker or slower or whatever. So I usually just book them for a week, and then I personally QC every car that leaves. So, you know, I usually like at least 2 to 3 hours if I didn't really install much on the project to go over it and make sure everything's up to my standard and then deliver it back to the customer. But the LaFerrari, I was on it. I did have one of my guys helping me for half of Monday, and then I busted ass, you know, the rest of the day. and then pretty much had it buttoned up, and we were doing final photos of it at 3:00 on Friday.
You did that one solo?
Yeah, I did it completely solo.
Yeah, you can't be having like one of your employees like, oh no.
Yeah,
At least,
I mean, my guys are really, really good, and they have
right, but
super
if
high
it's
attention
you
to detail.
fucked up, if
yeah.
it's you fucked up, but if they did, you're like, oh
Yeah,
no.
exactly. And I just want to make sure it came out perfect, and make sure it was good. And so.
God, was that the most expensive car you've ever had in here?
It's the most expensive car I've ever had in my possession.
Yeah.
It's not the most expensive car I've ever touched. The most expensive car I ever touched was actually a 1928 Alfa Romeo 1600C, I believe it was. And basically it won the Quail up in Monterey.
Whoa.
And from what the builder told me, it was over 3.5 million. So,
And he had that wrapped, clear coated?
yeah, we wrapped the whole thing in XPEL. And the crazy thing is, the guy that owns that car takes it on rallies.
Yes.
He freaking rallies the 1928.
I love it.
It's nuts. So I love it too, because
You can only do that if you're a super billionaire. Because you're like,
I don't even know.
You're just like, yeah, this is 3.8 million.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
Fuck,
rally
man.
it.
It's not like it's $1 billion, you know?
Yeah.
Oh God.
I mean, he rallied it in Colorado, and then they took it to, I'm gonna butcher this name, but the Mille Emilia or something in
Right.
Italy, took it over there, rallied it, and then Marco, the lead builder on that car, I actually taught him how to remove paint protection film, because in Italy they want to see totally raw paint. So it did the rally wrapped, and then went to the show, and Marco removed all the film in some, he basically described it as a pretty piss poor mechanics garage in Italy.
Yeah.
Removed all the PPF, took it to the show. They did pretty well, and then the car flew back to the United States. But yeah, that was a really, really cool project to be part of, and that was by far the most expensive car I've ever touched.
How do you remove it? Is it just like a hair dryer type of heat gun and just start peeling it off?
Yeah, so the trick is getting it pretty warm. So in the summertime, I just do it outside.
Yeah.
Which sucks because I fry like a frickin' French fry. So
out
I'm
here in the valley.
Oh God! So I'm usually burnt to a crisp by the time I'm done. But for the preservation sake of the car, it works. But yeah, get it pretty warm. Some installers prefer using steam. To me, I just don't really like it. I use dry heat. I usually wear like those yellow obnoxious dishwashing gloves.
Yeah.
And you can see this blister on my finger.
Oh, shit.
I wasn't wearing them when I did the LaFerrari, and I got that sweet blister, which hurt like a bitch.
Wow. Is that just from peeling?
From pulling the film. So the trick is you want to kind of peel up an edge and then lift and pull it off the surface at about a 45-degree angle. If you pull it back over itself, that's when you can kind of leave adhesive and it can get messy. But if you keep that 45-degree angle and you kind of just like curl your knuckles into it and lift and peel, the adhesive will come off clean with the film, and it's usually a pretty quick and painless process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then what? Then immediately detail the car and wax it and everything, get anything off it?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends what the customer's doing with it.
Right,
You
right.
know, a lot of times when we're removing film to then reinstall new film. So we just, remove it, make sure there's no adhesive left behind, prep the car, and then rewrap it.
Now, you also do window tinting here.
Correct.
And you've got this tint that you were telling me that you basically put it on the whole car, and you don't need to use like one of those window shades.
Yep.
Your dash won't crack. It keeps it way cooler inside in
Yep.
the summer. And is that XPEL also?
Yeah, so that the top of the line window tint from XPEL is Prime XR Plus, and it rejects 99% of UVA, UVB rays. And then the lightest VLT would be 70%. So when you're talking about tint, the higher the number, so 70 is the highest, is the clearer the film. The lower the number, 5% is the lowest, the darker the film.
Got ya.
So even at 70%, which is damn near clear, you're still blocking like 93% of infrared transferable heat.
And that's what you're putting on the front shields.
Yeah. So my M2 actually has Prime XR Plus 70 on the front windshield. And like I said, all weekend my car was parked outside in the freaking Pismo Beach area. My dash didn't even get warm.
That's cool,
Yeah.
man.
So I felt a whole lot less guilty about my car being parked outside,
yeah.
knowing my interior was protected by that stuff.
I've seen some fried dashes.
Oh,
boy.
dude, they get hammered. I mean,
the cracks.
my beloved Cummins, my second gen Cummins, from back in the day.
Yeah.
The dashes just get blown out on those things. And
Oh, man.
again, it's all from UV and our depleting ozone.
Now, you just went to like some show. You guys did kind of like a competition.
Yeah.
What was that?
I just got back. When was it? Like
A couple weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was in Texas, San Antonio, Texas, at XPEL's dealer conference.
Which, by the way, I follow him on Instagram. You should too. It's American_Rap, WRAP_CO.
Correct.
American Rap Co. with the underscores. Follow him because each day he's putting this stuff on and you can watch it. But go ahead. I was watching this because you went out there and you guys were competing.
Yeah.
How did that work? Was it teams? Was it you against people?
No, it's always solo. There's two competitions that I always compete in, but this was XPEL's. You're always solo, no teams. It's just, every man for himself. There was 70 other installers from around the world. And it's always just an honor to compete against these guys.
And there's just donation cars and you're wrapping that
so
car?
they usually rent cars.
Oh, rent them.
Yeah. So they rented, what'd they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, seven cars, they had 7 cars in the arena. Yeah. All rentals. And, there's usually three or 4 rounds. In each round, you do a specific portion of the car. So the first round was a full fender and a side mirror.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about XPEL's competition is, it's hard to rent, say, a complicated car where you really have to be a good installer. So it's usually an easier car at these competitions. So this year it was just a Nissan Rogue, or I don't even know.
Just a standard kind of
car.
Panels, yeah.
But where they had us by the freaking balls was we had 7 minutes to do a full fender and a 2-piece side mirror, which is
7 minutes?
7 minutes, dude.
What?
And that is like,
dude, I watched you out here. It took like an hour to do a
to do like a roof. Or I forget we were doing a roof.
Yeah, I was like, what?
So,
you guys were doing that roof on that Jeep.
Yeah, that's right. The white Jeep.
And you 7 minutes?
7 minutes, dude. It was insane. So what that does is it makes the easy car really, really hard because you got to know what the fuck you're doing to get it on clean in 7 minutes. So that was round 1. Round 2 was 8 minutes, whole whopping minute, and a partial hood, partial fenders. And again, my heart was beating so fast. It was just nuts. And then the final round of every competition is usually a full front bumper. And for the front bumper, they gave us a whopping 12 minutes, which was still just insane.
Do they judge you?
They judge on every possible criteria.
Like that you finished? And then, okay, you did finish, but it's bubbly, or you didn't finish. Are you automatically out if you didn't finish?
Yeah, if you didn't finish, you're pretty much DNF.
Okay, so you're out there. So the people don't finish. And then the next would be quality of the install, right?
Yeah. So like alignment, how tight your edges are,
Yeah.
debris control. So do you have contamination, lint hairs, stuff like that, bubbles, stretch marks, hard lines,
Would you
any
get
kind of
third?
distortion. Yeah. This year I took third. It was a hard fought battle.
Out of how many people?
70.
God, that's cool, man.
Well, and the crazy thing too is like these aren't just 70 Joe Blows. Like these are 70 dudes that
pro dudes
that make a living doing this.
Yeah.
This is how we all eat.
Yeah.
So even to get third, I was talking to some guys there and they're just like, man, if I make the finals, I'll be so stoked. And this was my 8th competition and I've never placed outside of the top 3 in every competition I've ever entered. So to have that alone and to kind of keep my streak alive is just,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it kind of just blows my mind and it's super grateful.
The XPEL people, these guys are amazing, right?
Oh,
they're constantly
like family.
They're constantly also trying to just make better and better product, right?
Always. So they are always trying to stay on the cutting edge, between bringing us the best patterns money can buy. They dropped XPEL Fusion Plus, which is their ceramic coating for PPF and paint. It's a 4-year coating, super hydrophobic, super glossy, super slick. Like by far the slickest coating I've ever touched.
So you put that on after you put the wrap on, or is it on the wrap?
It's couple ways you can go. You can, if we do a full body wrap, you can ceramic coat the wrap, and what that's going to do is give it a little more gloss, make the wrap super hydrophobic and slick feeling. So when you wash the car, dust and dirt's really just going to shed off. Bird shit will clean up easier. Water spots won't stick as badly. And then the same thing for paint. So it kind of will harden up the clear coat a little bit more. It doesn't have very much, no ceramic coating has chip resistance or major scratch resistance.
Right.
But it makes the paint a lot slicker, less prone to swirling, because when you rinse the car, the contamination just slides off the surface rather than kind of sticking to raw paint, and then you hit it with your wash mitt and kind of grind that shit in.
Swirling,
makes it a lot safer.
Swirling makes me nuts.
But yeah, XPEL is always trying to stay on the front lines. At dealer conference, they told us that they're going to be releasing a full line of ceramic products for marine, interior, fabric. What else did they say? I think that was about it, but they're really trying.
Fabric, ceramic. So like if you spill something,
coffee or something,
that's fucking amazing
on your interior.
Yeah,
it'll just kind of beat up on top of your floor mats, then you can just pat it with a rag and get it off there. That stuff works really cool. And then XPEL also has, security film. So like at the shop, we're going to install security film on all our glass windows so that you can't beat it with a crowbar and get in.
Oh, what?
So the glass will crack, but you can't get in. So my glass
break,
break,
some Spider-Man shit.
Yeah. So like it'll set off my alarm on my glass break sensors and slow them down from getting in.
Oh, that's amazing, right? The guy's like, what the fuck?
They also make an RX antimicrobial film. So what's super cool about that is if you touch it, it has silver ions in it, and it's killing the microbes and all the germs. So that's really cool for like hospitals, touch screens.
Oh yeah, touch screens.
Any kind of touch screen, like Tesla touch screens. We've installed it on that so that you kind of, you're not spreading germs around and whatnot. What else do they have? Obviously, full architectural films for any kind of residential or commercial window. That
shit's incredible.
Yeah. So they really try hard to bring us cool stuff. They recently released 72-inch paint protection film, which is like freaking huge for us because Porsche Macan, a lot of the Aston Martins, Ferrari Lusso, they all have giant hoods that are over 60 inches. So for years, the biggest roll of film I had
double
was a 60 inch, and then you have seams. And on a hood, that just looks like shit.
It does look like shit.
Usually a hood's totally flat, or it's, like a total in-your-face surface. And just to have a random seam that doesn't fall on a body line or doesn't ride a ridge, it just stands out like a sore thumb. So to have a 72 now, I can one-piece Macan hoods, Ferraris, all that good jazz. It really helps.
Yeah.
So XPEL's always trying for us.
I'm looking forward to just seeing them keep going, because eventually you're going to be able to have a car that after like 3 or 4 years you want to sell. Mm-hmm. It just looks new still.
Yep.
Now, can you drive that shit through a car wash?
Yeah, you can. I still would never take either of my cars through a car wash.
I wouldn't either.
But I do have customers ask me all the time, can I go through a car wash? Yeah, totally fine. Touch or touchless.
God.
Not going to hurt it. And, if you are a car wash kind of person, I even know people with like Porsches and stuff that go through automated car washes. It just blows my fucking mind.
I see it over in Sherman Oaks. I'm like,
what are you
doing, dude?
You can't afford to spend $75 to have a real detailer come do your car.
This just fucking makes me crazy.
Me too.
But
if you're gonna do it, the best way to do it is to have your car wrapped in PPF. Then at least it's not gonna get hammered.
All right, tell everybody where you're at. Once again, it's American_rap_CO on Instagram. He's out here in Thousand Oaks. You're open, Monday through Friday?
Yeah, Monday through Friday. I'll take deliveries and stuff on Saturday and Sunday, but we really don't lay film on Saturday and Sunday. Me and the guys bust ass really hard Monday through Friday, and we need time to rest and spend time with our families.
Yeah.
Family time is really important to me and something I take serious. So... we're out in Thousand Oaks, Newbury Park, California specifically. Best way to find us is through Instagram and, at our website, www.americanrapco.com. Yeah.
It was so great to talk to you because it was awesome to hear Ed Shine's side of the detailing world, and then to really dig into, your world, because I just love, I mean, when I see these clear wraps on the car and know that it's like totally protected, I mean, it's just so, you just park and you come out and you go, oh yeah, little bird shit wipe and just roll. It's
the peace of mind.
Oh, it's just,
The peace of mind is just
and
invaluable.
like you could wrap guitars.
Yeah.
Like, like a vintage guitar. Although guitars,
countertops.
I mean, guitars, you
countertops.
want patina.
Yeah.
That's what makes them
Cool.
great. But I mean, a lot of people buy Rolexes and watches, and they don't take that plastic shit off for months. Imagine the future of just like, I mean, I saw on Instagram they sell these sticker kits now for the watch. It's basically like, it's almost like the kit that Rolex sells. And I was watching the guy put one on. I was like, fuck that. Each little strip on each part of the watch. But I mean, if you're fucking weird like us and you're just crazy and can't, I mean, I wish I was that guy that could just be like, yeah. It's just a car. Who cares? I wish I was that guy.
I probably wouldn't be gray at 30 if I was that guy.
I think it's because we grew up poor.
Yeah.
And I said this over and over. Once you got something, you're like, well, I'm not getting another one.
Yeah.
It took so much work to get this, like a car,
Gotta
a pair of
take care of
boots,
it.
or a jacket. Got to take care of it. And then I might have to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to sell it
And
to
then try to recoup some value out of it.
Yeah. So it's that's embedded in my goddamn DNA.
I know.
And you're the same way. So when I met you, I was like, oh, this is the guy to get to work on your car because he's a nut like me.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to be like, that looks fine. See ya. Next.
No. I'm clinically diagnosed with OCD. So it's it's a fucking problem.
Yeah, it is a problem.
Like my spice cabinet at home is like, just totally organized. Refrigerator, like beer on one side, water, Gatorade,
Yeah, I was just talking about when I'm at the gym and I put the weight back. Mm-hmm. I got to put it back in the
right spot.
If it's crooked, I go over and fix it.
Yep. Oh man!
And you got this. I love this dog you got. What's his name?
His name's Dobby. He's a 4.5-year-old miniature dachshund.
God, he's so fucking cool.
Yeah, he's actually a super qualified installer too, because he's been coming to work his whole life. So.
Yeah, that's so funny. He's been here his whole life. He's a great dog, man.
He is.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let There Be Talk Handmade, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. You can see I still got the film on my recorder. This recorder's 8 years old, and it's done 500 and 15, 16, 17 episodes.
That's rad.
And I kept this on there, just to keep it nice. It's funny because my buddy Mark Maron was like, yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, I don't know. Like most people just peel that shit off. There was a time when I'd get cell phones and I'd leave that on forever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now I wrap everything with PPF.
Oh yeah, your phones.
Anything.
Wow.
Anything it'll stick to. Dirt bike parts.
Oh God.
I mean.
Yeah, you got it made, right? You could just bring down whatever you buy and wrap it.
Yeah, it's just hard though, because the carpenter's house always gets worked on last. So it's
I
like,
get it. Yeah, your shit's last.
I got to try to find time to do my own shit.
Oh my God. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and follow him on Instagram and give him a ring, man. Get your car wrapped and protect that shit. Wrap it up. See ya.